Good evening, ladies. If you're watching this and you have a book in your head and you want to get it on Amazon before the end of 2021, watch this video, stick with me, send me some comments. I want to know what your book is going to be about, why you want to write it. I want to know what is going on in here. And I'm here tonight to share with you a little story about this book. This is the first book I wrote. Started this project in 2015, and it took me 9 months to complete it. And my passion is, as you know, helping fempreneurs get their messages out there. And I help fempreneurs do that in a number of ways. And one of the things that I love to do is help women get their message out in written format. And quite often that looks like a course or, you know, a series of YouTube videos that maybe they've got, you know, some scripts written out and they turn that into videos. There's a lot of different ways we can find our voice, get our message out there on social media, which of course is the title of my second book. It's called Find Your Voice on Social Media. But the best way is to write a book. And I know that sounds daunting, so I'm going to tell you a little story because I need you to understand, I need you to imagine what it would feel like to have your book on Amazon completed, to have copies of it in your hand before the end of 2021. I need you to understand that that's possible, okay? So when I started writing my first book, I had no idea what that process would look like. I had hired a coach, specifically hired that business coach because he had written a few books, and I had no idea what I was in for, but I trusted that he had the blueprint and he would take me down that path. Now, if you surround yourself with people who've never written a book or don't want to write a book, I promise you it's going to be really hard to get your book done. You're going to need to surround yourself with people who want to write books, who are writing books. And that's why I'm so excited to be here on this live right now, sharing with you what I have to share with you. We're going to get to that in a minute. But what I want you to know is that if you have a book in your head, I want to do a one-on-one conversation with you. I want to have a one-on-one conversation with you on, like, you know, a video platform. I want to get to know you if I don't know you already and hear your answers to the 4 questions. If you saw the post earlier, I have 4 questions for you, which I'm going to get to in a moment. So the story about my first book basically is that I had a business coach, so I invested a bit of money every month for about 6 months in that business coach. And then I ended up hiring an editor. I hired a cover design artist. I was zero tech back then, you guys. I know those of you who know me now know I'm pretty techie, and I've learned a lot of things through, you know, Googling it and through hiring people and getting them to teach me. But back then I knew like nothing about how to get a book out there into the world, let alone how to do all the things that I do now on social media and with marketing. So there are steps that need to be taken, but the thing is, it doesn't cost a lot of money to write a book. My second book, the one that just came out last year, Find Your Voice in Social Media, I did everything. I had women in my group edit it. I think I hired one editor, and it was more of just like a really like thank you for doing this kind of behind the scenes thing. The rest of my editors were just women that I knew that went through the book and gave me awesome feedback on it. And then I did the cover design myself on canva.com, and I was able to edit and format the whole book and get it on Amazon. And then I have actually had the privilege of taking Carrie Wilkinson Lee. Many of you know Carrie. I took her through the process of getting her book completed and on Amazon. And so it's one of those things that if you have a book in your head and it's keeping you up at night, you obviously have a huge passion to serve. You feel that there's a purpose, there's a calling that's been placed on you to get your message out there. Now, one of the things that I tell women all the time, and you might have saw this post earlier today too, where I said your skills and knowledge are valuable. So now I want you to say that to yourself. I want you to look in the mirror every day and say, my skills and knowledge are valuable, and they have the power to improve lives if I get them out there. So you can do that in a number of ways, but I have to say, everything you ever do, every course you ever create, every application to speak at an event that you ever put in, all of that will be bolstered so much higher and will have so much more impact, and you will just look like a bigger deal if you've written a book. So you can make a huge impact on your future by writing a book. And if it's something you want to do, I want to help you with that. So back to my story of my experience with writing my book. So I thought that I was going to need to, invest thousands of dollars in getting my book into print. My first book is called Money and the 39 Forever Mom. It's a personal finance book for moms. I was terrified about not only the money it might cost to get my book into print, I was worried about everything to do with putting a book into print. Like, what if I quote another author and then they don't like it and they come back on me? What if I say something that I think is my idea and it's not? Someone else has said it before. I had all sorts of fears. I eventually just had to push them all aside and trust myself that I was doing it for the right reasons, and just start writing and keep writing and set aside time consistently in my calendar to do that. I kind of went, I went pretty dark in a lot of ways socially. I stayed away from a lot of the people that I've been hanging out with because I really needed to focus in and get my book done. However, I stayed very active on social media, and this is the biggest mistake that wannabe writers make that causes them to stay wannabe writers, and it is that they don't tell anybody they're writing a book. They don't tell anybody. They don't go out into social media and say, I'm writing a book, and this is about when I think it's going to be done, and this is what it's about, and here's, the most recent chapter that I wrote. I want to give it to you guys to read. I want to put it out there to my audience. Like, they don't do any of that. I think they're just afraid that they might not finish it and they'll have all these people waiting for it and that they'll let a bunch of people down. It's also an ego thing for sure. Because I know, I felt it too. I was like, what if I don't actually finish this book? Right? So you need to trust yourself that the purpose behind your book is strong, it's true, it's got so much power and value to offer the world. You have to power through the doubt. You have to change the people you hang out with for at least a little while. I'm not saying ditch your friends. I'm not saying completely change who you hang out with. But what I am saying is that I am going to gather a group of female writers who want to have their books done by the end of 2021. And I'm going to make sure that they have the structure around them and they have, me as a support person who's done it before a number of times. And I'm going to make sure that I do everything in my power to help them get that book done by the end of 2021. So this is an invitation to you to answer 4 questions for me right now in the chat. So I want you to add some comments below if you're watching and if these questions are resonating with you. So the questions that I had asked earlier today, and then I'm going to ask again. 1 is, do you want to write a book? And if you know in your heart that you want to write a book and something's stopping you right now from posting a comment in here in this live video saying, yes, I want to write a book, just really sit with that. I don't want to force you into saying, yes, I want to write a book in front of everyone if you really can't. But if you know you want to and something's stopping you, you need to figure out what that is, because it's probably holding you back from a lot of things, not just saying that you want to write a book. Okay, so if you want to write a book, please comment below, yes, I want to write a book. What do you think would be the most difficult part of writing a book is my next question for you. If you want to write it in the comments, go for it. Would love to see your answers. I know it would be empowering for others to see your answers to these questions as well. What would be the most difficult part of that process? Do you think, right? If you've never written a book, you're probably not really sure. Awesome, Jessica. I'm happy to hear that you'd love to write a book. I know you would love to write a book because I can just feel it. It's in you. And thank you for saying that. That takes a lot of effing courage to say that. Okay, so Jessica, you're just like blowing my mind right now, girl. I love it. Okay, so what do you think would be the most difficult part of completing your book? That's my next question. My chair is leaning up against my bed and it's wiggling when I move, so I'm going to move that a little bit. Okay, there we go. Oh, everybody's seeing my teddy down here. Before we move on to question 3, I just want to share something with you that I think you need to really sit with this if you're on the fence about, do I really feel pulled to write a book or am I not really there yet? If you're on the fence, I want you to ask yourself this question. Where have you gained some of the most valuable knowledge of your entire life? Was it through mentors like live humans that you got to sit across the table from? Was it through like your grandparents? Was it from your parents? Or was it from books? Because I have to say, for me, the most impactful book I ever read when I was 17 years old was not Pathways to Success. This is actually a combination of 2 of Dale Carnegie's best books. This is How to Win Friends and Influence People and How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. His 2, like, oh my gosh, life-changing books. So I didn't read the second one, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, until about 10 years ago. But I read How to Win Friends and Influence People, you guys, when I was 17. Completely changed how I communicate. Completely changed my whole mindset as I came into being an entrepreneur. Because many of you know my story, I became a hairdresser. I went to hairdressing school when I was 18, and a year and a half after working in a salon, I was like, I don't need this salon, I can do this myself. And so I had a mobile beauty business, and sitting, with people, doing their hair, doing their nails, How to Win Friends and Influence People. That book changed the way I served them, because in those hairdressing sessions, in that time when I was doing their nails, it was all about them. I just kept asking them meaningful questions and meaningful questions and meaningful questions. So there's an example of something that maybe sounds super simple, but I learned that from a book, you guys. No one in my life ever taught that to me the way this book and the way Dale Carnegie did. Okay? The other book that completely changed me, which I read while I was writing my first book, was this one, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. I still haven't read it cover to cover, but I have read lots and lots of chunks of it. Many of you know I like to play what I call Russian roulette with books. I like to just like flippity flip and then open it on a page and read what that page has for me that day. And it's crazy, the stuff that it usually has. And I've been recently doing that with Megan's book. I left it over there. Megan Cosenzo recently wrote a book called Getting Back to Zero. She was personally in debt, not mortgage, just debt, through trying to get her business bigger and bigger and bigger. She had over $100,000 in debt, you guys. And she climbed her way out of it. I think it took her 6 years, and she wrote a book about it. And then, so her book came out in January. She just published a workbook on Amazon as well. So I've been playing a little Russian roulette with that book too, because there's a lot of cool stuff in there. So you guys, books change lives. And there's a lot of books probably very similar to this one. I haven't read a ton of books. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm a huge reader, because I'm not. But there's probably other books very similar to this one, right? And the way that you explain things to people in your book, in the way you do your marketing, in the way you serve people, it's different than the way other people say the exact same thing, because you're different. And so that means you have a unique ability to deliver a message to someone, okay? I'm so happy that you're reading The 4-Hour Workweek, Janina. I cannot wait to debrief with you after a little bit here, because I think that's going to be super fun. Okay, so I've asked you guys 2 questions. If you're just joining us now, the first question is, do you want to write a book? I'm not asking you if you're going to. I'm asking you if you want to, and if you're willing to admit that to people, because it's a big step to say that out loud. Post a comment saying that you want to write a book. What do you think will be the most difficult part of completing your book? Or what would be if you decided to actually commit? And if you would like to share that in the comments below, I would love to know as well. What would be the most difficult part of writing a book? What do you think would be the most difficult part of writing a book? Okay. Before we move on to question 3, I want to let you know that, again, if you're just joining us now, I am assembling a group of female writers who want to have their books done by the end of 2021. And how you get in on that is simply by booking a one-on-one with me. You can go to fempreneurland.com. You'll see the tab that says Meet with Lyndsie. You'll click that. It'll take you to a booking link. You can book an absolutely free 30-minute one-on-one with me. If you want to write a book before the end of 2021, I want to know if what I have to offer through this group program that I've got in my head, I want to know if it's right for you. And those of you who are marketing school grads know that one of the first things we do in marketing school is we build a survey. Because as servants, we need to understand what the people we're trying to serve want from us and how they want us to deliver it. So what I'm trying to do right now is, and I've been having these conversations one-on-one with lots of women in the last few weeks, is letting them know that I am cooking up something to help a group of women get their books done. And so now I'm bringing it out here to all of you to let you know that it's going to be super affordable. It's going to be a 6-month process. But at the 3-month mark, you may get booted if you're not doing the work. And then if you stay till the end of the 6 months, I will make sure to help you walk across the finish line or sprint across the finish line, because that would be super fun too. So the third question of the 4 questions that I have for you is, describe how you would feel after you wrote a book. how would you feel? Pretend right now, close your eyes and pretend you've got your published book in your hands, right? I'll never forget opening my box of books. So the first time I wrote this book, it actually didn't look like this. The cover looked different. I had it printed locally in Calgary. And yeah, so I ordered like a whole bunch of, I still have a bunch of boxes of those books. Anywho, we don't do it that way anymore. I've learned some things the hard way so that you don't have to. Yes, you're welcome. So that feeling of opening the first box of my printed books and then passing my phone to this poor lady that worked at the printing shop that looked like she did not want to be taking a picture of me with my book, and holding it up and like getting that selfie, which wasn't a selfie because she took it for me. You guys, that is an incredible feeling. And then going out into the world, positioning yourself as an expert in your field gets a bajillion times easier once you've got that book. Yeah, so it's going to feel awesome, Jessica. You're absolutely right. What's stopping you now is the thought that you're already doing several things and should not add anything more to your plate. Exactly. Timing is everything. And we've been talking a lot about this in Fempreneur Land. It's putting all those things, those I want to do's down on a list and deciding what's going to get you to your dream business the fastest. And if writing a book is one of those things, then it's a matter of moving everything else off your plate for now. Because in my opinion, I didn't do a lot of workshops and courses until after I had my book done. And I did a few before I had my book done, but after I had my book done, it was so much easier to get people to show up to things. It sounds ridiculous, but it's true. People have a fascination with people that have written books, and it becomes more and more normal the more you hang out with people that have written books. And I'm trying to surround myself with more women that have written books by helping you all get your books done. But whatever you got on your list right now, things to do for the future, the things that you want to accomplish, the things that you're working on right now, having a completed book is going to bolster all of that stuff hugely. So yeah, it's going to totally position you as more of an expert and authority in your field. Absolutely, Noreen. Yeah, and that reason for you too, of course. Gina, thank you for chiming in. Yeah, absolutely, an authority. And so then it makes everything, like I just said, I can't hit this point home enough, you guys. It's going to make everything else that you do that much more powerful. People are going to listen more intently to you because you've written a book. Okay? Promise you. It's not even fair. We talk about unfair advantages in marketing school. We talk about that because your unfair advantages are your life experiences. They're the things you've been through. It's the shit that's happened to you that's made you stronger. Those are your unfair advantages. That's why telling your story all the time in your marketing, and of course, always circling it back and making it you, them focused, it's your unfair advantage. It's that thing that you have that others who are maybe doing something similar to you, they can't talk about that stuff because that's not their story. So when you put that stuff into a book, you guys, when you put that stuff into a book, it's just an incredible thing. It's an incredible thing. So, and it's one way to give yourself an unfair advantage that you actually had to work for, that you actually had to create, that didn't just happen to you because of your life story. It's an unfair advantage that you create for yourself. And of course you do it for the right reasons. The word unfair kind of seems kind of schemy, kind of salesy, but ultimately the reason you're doing it is not just so that you feel awesome for writing a book. It's because you know people are going to listen to you and take action faster once you've written a book, which means you're helping expedite the process of getting people from point A to point B, because ultimately that's why we have businesses, right? If you're only in business for the money, people will notice it. They'll totally pick up on it. They're not going to trust you. They're not going to like you. If you truly care about taking people from point A to point B to help them live better lives, and I know all of you can, that's the business that speaks to people's heart. And that's the business that actually succeeds with less grinding, right? Okay, so my next question after how it would feel to write a book, please answer if you're feeling compelled to share. My last question, number 4, is what will your book be about and who will it be for? Okay, that's kind of cheating. That's actually 2 questions. What will your book be about and who will it be for? And you can absolutely combine those into one answer. And if you're not comfortable sharing here in the comments below, you can absolutely send me a DM. I want to know your answers. If you want to write a book, if you're just joining us now, I want to hear from you. Thank you for the hearts, ladies. Keep tapping that heart. I love it. Yeah, I want you to book a one-on-one with me so we can talk more about your desire to write a book. Because if it is keeping you up at night, I know how you feel. I've been there. If you know you need to write a book, then you really just need to get it out of your head. It's going to haunt you. I was just playing this silly game tonight with the youth group called Among Us. If anybody's ever played Among Us, tap the heart. I just played it for the first time tonight. It's kind of like you're getting like creepy followed by this thing that like won't go away, but it's a good thing. So been playing with the idea of writing about the 9 limiting beliefs that kill our dream home. Oh my gosh. What a great title. The 9 limiting beliefs that kill our dream home. That is awesome. The 9 limiting beliefs that are killing your dream home. Ooh, Jessica, we got to talk more about that. That's awesome, Jessica. I love your bravery. I love your honesty. You guys tap the heart for Jessica. She is putting herself out there big time right now. I love it. For those of you who don't know Jessica, at Interiors by Jessica, she's just like got so many great ideas for people who are, you know, feeling like they're not living in their dream home, and she does a great job of sharing them. So be sure to follow her. Okay, you guys, I'm going to wrap it up really soon here, but I do have one more thing I want to share with you. The one thing, I mentioned this at the very beginning, but I didn't really go into it, and it's really important. You can't go dark when you're writing your book. Meaning you can't use that book as an excuse. Kind of like, you know, remember when you had a baby and you used the baby as an excuse for everything? For those of you who aren't moms, you probably don't get it, but that's okay. Maybe you've got a puppy before. Maybe you were renovating your house, Jessica, and you just use it as an excuse to say no to everything and to kind of like go dark on social media and to not hang out with your friends. If you've done that in the past, you cannot do that, and I will not let you do that while you write your book. The reason that I created a marketing school is because of the things that I learned while writing my book and marketing my book simultaneously. Thanks for all the hearts, you guys. Wow, this is awesome. Love the engagement. Thank you for being here, all of you. I really, really appreciate it, and it just feels so good to be sharing all of this with you right now in hopes that it's going to have a positive impact on even one life tonight, you guys. So as I'm writing my book, I'm going out on social media. I'm posting articles on LinkedIn. I didn't even have a website, you guys. I was about halfway to the finish line when I hired a web designer, and the web designer was a local person in Cochrane. I hired someone on Upwork. I went to upwork.com and I had them build me a survey, and she was like, "Oh, do you have MailChimp?" And I was like, "I don't even know what MailChimp is." And she's like, "Oh, well, you should probably be getting email addresses from all these people that you're interacting with while you're writing your book." And I was like, "Oh, how do I do that?" And so she set it all up for me, showed me how to run it. I put her in touch with my web designer. They were talking. This is all stuff that happened, by the way, from the 4-Hour Workweek book. This book told me how to do those things, right? Because I needed to be writing my book. I did not need to be figuring out how MailChimp works. So yes, I love what you guys are saying here in the chats. That's awesome. So I was like, I need to get this book done. So I was delegating the other things that I didn't want to learn how to do at that time. But eventually I grew a massive email list from posting articles on LinkedIn. And the articles were chunks of my upcoming book. And I never stopped talking about the fact that I was writing a book. And I posted this one post on LinkedIn that went absolutely berserk viral. It was 3 different book covers. I hired 2 book cover designers on Upwork as well. And you guys, this stuff does not cost a lot of money, but obviously I don't do any of that anymore. I know how to do all that myself, and I help my girls get that stuff done on their own too. But I hired these cover designers, and so I put these different cover designs side by side, and I posted this on LinkedIn, and that went berserk. I still to this day see comments and likes and stuff on that post. It's got over 210,000 likes and comments on it. I'm not saying that's going to happen to you, but what I am saying is people love to be asked for their opinion, and people love to come along on a really exciting journey like someone's writing a book. And I'm not saying just anyone is going to love to come along on your journey. It's just like marketing. If you're marketing to everyone, you're marketing to no one. If you're writing a book for everyone, how are you going to effectively get that book into the right hands? So these are all the things that I'm going to help these girls with who come into this mastermind group, which I'm calling Fem Team again, because we always call the Fempreneur Land Mastermind Group Fem Team. will not be the same as the last Fem Team groups, will be a little bit different because of the writing component, but there will be a lot of focus on staying active in a very clear and concise way on social media, marketing not only the book, but the messages that will be in the book, and the why stories, and the constant Dale Carnegie, how to win friends and influence people, drawing them in, making it about them, all the stuff that I can confidently say I'm really good at. I'm going to take you guys on that journey if this is something that's for you. Now, the interesting thing about this is, we were talking about this today in Fempreneur Land at noon. We had a session, my last session of Startup Success Steps that I taught. And I was saying to the girls, you know, there were lots of times when I went out onto social media like this and like talked about this thing that I was launching, and I was like, I'm going to do this, and who's in and who wants to sign up. And sometimes I get like 1 or 2 people, and sometimes I get the big goose egg. I get 0 people. And I'm good with or without people jumping in, because you know why? Because I trust that when I put myself out there and I get crickets, or I don't get people signing up for something or saying, yes, please, that's what I want, it's not the right time, or I haven't packaged it the right way. So this is like a real live marketing lesson for you right now on what to do. You keep putting out what you think the world needs, and if they don't come and ask for it and say, yes, I want that, then you circle back, you go back to the drawing board, and you just keep tweaking it. And you know, who knows what kind of stuff the women will say to me, like, maybe now's not the right time. I don't want to write a book going into summer. I think I mentioned this, but I haven't mentioned this tonight once. For those of you who don't know me well or didn't know this, my 3rd book is coming out August 23rd, which is my 39th birthday. And interestingly enough, I wrote this book called Money and the 39 Forever Mom when I was 33 years old. Guess why? Because I surveyed all of my female clients, and they passed that survey on to other women. And the average age of the women who, like, you know, that I was serving, that I really loved to serve, and also who answered my survey, was 39. And 39 forever is like a pretty cool thing, right? My business coach actually came up with that idea of going with the 39 forever thing. And I'm turning 39 this summer, you guys, and I'm writing my 3rd book right now. It's about community. I actually have been on a roll writing it in this super cute notebook. And I played Russian roulette with this book the other day, and it gave me so much inspiration for my book. So what I'm excited about is being surrounded by a group of women who are boldly, bravely, and probably very terrifiedly, no, that's not a word, writing their books together, right? And going out on social media and telling the world that they're writing their books and putting little excerpts of their book out there. I'm so excited to be around a group of women like you. Been meaning to reach out to you. Kathy Whitney shared you through my girlfriend Sherry. Yes, I'm so excited to connect with you. Kathy Whitney is like, I loved her. She's awesome. Yeah, let's definitely connect. I've been saying this, but if you're just joining now, I want to meet you one-on-one if you're interested in writing a book and you want to learn more about all the things I've been talking about tonight. So go to fempreneurland.com/schedule. And you'll book a free one-on-one with me. I want to get to know you, and I want to share a little more of my story with you to see if we're a good fit. And if you want to come into this group that I'm forming right now, I don't know 100% what it's going to look like because I'm building it for all of you who want it. And it will be 6 months for sure. And I will help you get your book done before the end of 2021, because I know how impactful it is to have a book behind you to bolster your message. Another thing about writing a book that is so insanely powerful is it forces you to figure out who you are and what you stand for. I learned so much about myself through sitting, you know, till 3, 4 in the morning writing this book. I don't necessarily recommend you do that all the time, but when you feel called to write and you have the words flowing out of you, you have to clear the schedule and you have to just keep writing. So it was incredible, the stuff that I hadn't thought about in a long time. It was powerful. I mean, there were times when I was just, you know, teared up. But you guys, one thing that I'm so excited about this 3rd book is there was a lot of stuff I didn't have the guts to write about in this book. I didn't have the guts to say it, and I'm gonna have the guts to say it in my 3rd book. And there's gonna be some things that my family are probably not gonna be super happy about, But I'm still convinced that none of them have even read either of my first 2 books, but that's okay. Yeah, so there's some stuff that I'm going to say in my 3rd book about building community that have to do with my past, and some of the things that I felt, growing up were a little bit, unique about me, and some of the things that I experienced that caused me to really toughen up and to put on a hard outer shell. There are some things that happened to me that caused me to have scar tissue that I really needed to work at breaking down. And the number one way to break down scar tissue, which really is fear, is to just do the thing that you're afraid of. And the biggest thing I was afraid of was surrounding myself with a group of women who would maybe judge me, who maybe wouldn't like me, who maybe would say negative things about me and the way I was doing things, who maybe wouldn't trust that I cared about them and would go behind my back, and all the things I was terrified of. I had to just push them out of the way and do this thing, which is help women become financially secure through creating income streams from their talents and their abilities, and helping them get out there on social media, and helping them learn how to do things like MailChimp, and set up payment systems, and all the things that we do in marketing school in Fempreneurland. So my 3rd book is going to be about the community building side of all of that. And there is a lot of tech and a lot of marketing involved in effectively building a community, but there's a lot of just loving on people and just throwing your fears out the window. So I'm really excited to be sharing that book with all of you, and to be hopefully taking a few of you along on that journey if it's a good fit. So again, please reach out to me for a one-on-one. I want to spend a bit of time with you. You can do that at fempreneurland.com/schedule. Thank you all for joining tonight. Thank you for telling the women in your life who maybe want to write a book about this. Feel free to do a post. You can share the link to this video by tapping the 3 dots, and there's a copy link button there. You can share this video with others in DM and on Facebook, all over the place, in an email, if you think it's going to speak to someone and help them find the courage they need to get their story out there. Whether it be for business purposes or not, maybe it's just for them to really feel like they've finally said the things that they wanted to say, because they know that they'll help someone that needs to hear them. All right, have a really great night, you guys. Thank you so much. Bye for now.